Good morning. Obviously, it's a very chilly one. All right, we're going to dig right into this. It's going to be a long day. Actually, I have a really cool thing hopefully coming today, which when it gets here, I'll explain the whole purpose for it. And of course, we do got to get all these pieces off this so we can put it on the new intake manifold. We have to get the carburetor bolted on. I need to find a 1/2-inch threaded rod, which I know I have a bunch of it. Cut it to length so that we can get it fitting on here. Right, and we got to get the valve covers off. Got to clear everything off so that we can get the valve covers off. In the case of, most likely, hopefully not, one of the rocker something's, not moving, we can remedy that and we don't, flathead the cam or, destroy the engine before we even get it running. Story behind this will get mounted up here. The hose will be mounted right to the carburetor. It's got a little ball valve in there, and that's going to be our fuel tank. Wouldn't get us very far. And of course, this is also for fuel. Hopefully it holds up. I don't know, it's from the dollar store. We have parts and pieces. We have the studs for the carburetor because they are in the intake manifold that went away with the engine that was in the Dodge. Anyways, thermostat, OEM spec, nothing fancy. And then I had to go to, this is something annoying. So no store had more than one pack of these, which is mind-boggling, seeing how if you have even a regular GM V8, you're going to use 4 on one side. So, I mean, realistically, you're going to need at least 8. And of course, this needs 12. So, I don't know. Doesn't make any sense to me. We're going to clear up the engine bay as best we can so we can get this on here. Pretty much, if we take apart the brake system, it doesn't really matter, as the brakes do not work at all, which actually just brought up gonna have to get the brakes working. We're gonna put a wheel bearing back on this just so that we can move it, and I'll explain that more later. Once again, that's for the thing that's coming today. And I feel like I'm missing things, but we do need to dig right into this because we have a lot to do and realistically not very much time. So if this does take up one episode, awesome. But if it takes up 3, I promise you by the end of this coming up week, which will be the week that you're in now, so yeah, by the end of this week we will hear this run. If we hear it run today, that would be even better. So let's do this. All right, so something I highly recommend. I found these on a job site once, and they recommend them to me. And I'll tell you, if you're generally using this kind of crescent wrench, throw them away. Well, don't throw them away because you can end up using it for other things, but this does get in the way. But this is the Rigid E110, and I'll tell you what, this is one of the best crescent wrenches you'll ever get your hands on. It's got a lot more guts to it than the standard, crescent wrench that everyone else uses. So, as you just saw, that totally just broke. We might be able to still get this off and use it as a block off, but we're probably gonna have to see if there's a store nearby that has that and run for it. This came off. I forgot to hit the record button. I had to use the torch to get it going, but this did come off, so we can definitely reuse this. I'm gonna see if we can get that off, but I don't know. And then on the other side we have a couple more things. This is just in there with the grommet. That was the one grommet I was fighting with the other day, so that's got to come out, and then that's got to come out. So I'm gonna put a phone call in, see if anyone has this, and then if not, I guess we'll pull this out and use it as a block off and make the best of it for the time being. And I think that's all we have to get off this thing. So cool. All right, so this part did come out. The actual heating core did not. I need to go get my kneeling pad, but yeah, the heating core outlet did not. So that means that we have to call, see if someone has this one, call, see if someone has this thing, and hopefully that doesn't take too long to go get. All right, so I did call. I did find one of these nearby. I did not find the outlet going to the heating core, so we're going to, and this thing is totally screwed up, so we're going to go ahead and put what we have into it, not this part, but we'll put this together as best we can. We're going to need a block off for right here, and we'll see what's going on in the back behind it. But oh, and I just realized that's what I forgot. I need to vacuum the back part of this. Someone mentioned that, and I totally agree. Especially with things going to be going on, I don't want to suck stuff down into it. I don't want it falling into it. So we're going to quickly vacuum that up. Then we'll get back into here. And what else? Oh, yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to hook up the coolant system with it today. So if we get it running, we can't let it run very long. So, but we want to hear this thing start up. Give us a little bit of faith in how this everything's moving forward. You know, let's do this. All right, so I called a bunch of the places. They don't have the outlet going to the heating core, so there's that. But I did find the temperature sending unit. However, because I still need to get a block off for the one, and we're not going to have two of the parts, we're going to have to start this up without any coolant. That means we can't run it long. It's just really to see what we have. If things are knocking, we can't even get it up to temperature. So I guess it's going to end up being the ultimate cold start, guys. 40 years cold start, let's do this. But no, I'll have to order them, so it does put a little bit of delay on things. I don't want to draw out the start off any longer. So I know some people are like, let's do it, and I agree. You know, as long as we don't let it warm up and ruin the engine. We really need to see how healthy the engine is, if we have anything, you know, stuck, and how far we're gonna have to, you know, backtrack everything. So I guess we just keep moving. All right, so another thing I just noticed is those T-bars will in fact not fit on this engine inside this engine bay as it's configured. So it looks like they're going to be returned anyways. So I drove all over the place for them, and I can't even use them. But unfortunately, with the AC condenser, coolant, and everything all right there, I'm not going to be able to put it there anyways. I'd have to take all that out. As far as this side, the brake booster's in the way on this side. So I mean, I could probably get it on a couple of them, but I'm just going to return them. There's no reason to do half of them and not the other half. So we have the next thing on our list. Wow, the leaves are coming down. Next thing on our list, of course, is to just quickly put these studs in. Once these studs are in, we have to make sure everything on the back side's all set and ready to go. What else? I don't know, we'll keep digging into this. All right, what I did use there was some Loctite gasket dressing. That just kind of helps, you know, seal the gasket to the actual intake manifold. So even though I'm probably going to end up taking this back apart, this way it eliminates vacuum leak from between the gasket and in the gasket between the intake manifold and the carburetor. Now the carburetor is nowhere near where it's supposed to be as far as tuning. I do need to get that back to where it needs to be. I need to tighten these back down, and we still need to get the throttle body on, and there's a couple things on the back end of the engine that I got to put together. Get the valve covers off. Vacuum hoses still need to be hooked up, and we got to see if this thing's going to turn over and run. Well, it turns over obviously, but see if we hear that mythical note of the good old V8. All right, back to it. All right, so here's the situation. I'm down to one battery. The other ones have gone through the wash. So yeah, just one battery for the GoPro. And I went through, put it on charge, and I have like 20% right now. So we're gonna try getting what we can done right now with the camera, and we're gonna just go ahead and start her up. We're gonna try to, at least. The situation is pretty straightforward. I've gotten a laundry list of parts that I need to order, and I don't want to start ordering a huge amount of parts, especially not the emission stuff. So that's all gonna get deleted. But we have a huge list of parts that need to be picked up now. So we're going to go ahead. I've blocked off all the vacuum hoses so that we're going to go straight carburetor. There's no vacuum advance, which we can't do anyways because there's no coolant system. I need to make sure that this thing actually turns over and runs. I don't want to start dumping a lot of money into this engine to find out that, you know, there's lifters all screwed up and everything. So we're going to go ahead, take the valve covers off. I might not even do that because with all the crap over it, it's going to be really hard to keep it clear. So I'm going to do the old listen and check. We're going to just start her up. We're going to see what's going on. Needs to happen now. I can't dump tons of money into an engine that's too much of an unknown. So here goes nothing. All right, so I mean, the actual distributor cap looks actually perfect. The distributor itself, ooh, that's the best thing I can say is ooh. Let me see if I can put you down there so you can see it. I'm probably gonna have to disappoint you guys. I'm gonna need a new distributor. Oh man, there's no way that's any good. I figured the cap might have some, you know, filing needed or something like that, but I mean, I suppose it could be all right. I'm gonna have to see if I can't have someone come over. It's hard to do all this. Let me check something. Hold on a second. I might be able to keep working on this. Okay. All right, so now that we started this about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's almost 1 o'clock. So we'll call it 5.5 hours ago, just to try getting this thing running. We got it to start spinning. That's great. But I noticed when I put the key in the ignition earlier, there was no buzzer from the accessory functionality here. So I went through and I did find some damaged wires. So I don't know if there's a chipmunk trying to make a nest, but we do have power now. It's still spinning. I don't know if I have spark yet. So I'm kind of underneath the impression that something tried making a nest inside here while we were waiting to get this running. So hold on, we'll figure it out. All right, guys. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get it running today. It's bad. Mechanically, I think the engine is pretty much all set. The big issue is not, you know, anything you see here, sort of. I mean, yes and no, but the big issue is I thought maybe something got in here and chewed it all up, but like this right here, that's kind of important. That goes to there, and then that goes to there, and this wire was literally just twisted together and electrically taped. There's another one there. There's a few inside that wiring. I really want to hesitate calling that a wiring loom. That is not a wiring loom. I don't know who made that, but it's terrible. I mean, it's really pulling the wiring from different places. It's a joke. I now kind of have an idea why this was sitting for as long as it was. Like, that wire was spliced with electrical tape that would have been from, like, you know, the 70s and 80s. I mean, my job on a daily basis is an electrician, and I get to see that kind of electrical work inside houses where, you know, a lot of times splicing wires with electrical tape like that was common back in the 70s. So it's almost like an electrician was working on this engine. And that's all well and good, but they're not spliced together, they're twisted together. And I don't think it was just caused by the, you know, possible issue of something living in the car or anything. I really think the electrical is the real gremlin here. So my solution is I have a couple engines sitting on stands in the garage. I'll have to clean up the garage, move things around. I would like to get an engine dolly and kind of mock up a little stand for this engine, pull this engine out, put that on the stand, and we're gonna get it running that way. But the benefit of doing that is with the engine out of the engine bay, we can start dismantling everything, and we can get to work figuring out exactly how we're going to build the frame for for this subframe. So, and I gotta really point out, so let's see, here's my pinky in comparison to, let's see if you, there we go, in comparison to this sway bar. Now if we go over to this sway bar, here's my pinky. So I've had a couple people saying how that this vehicle is heavier than the Mark IV Supra, but the SC400, which is a much heavier car than the Supra, and it's about 150 pounds heavier than this, this is definitely built to handle a lot more performance than I really think this is. This can take a lot more torque, which we can, you know, we could definitely make up for that with structural members. The big issue is just getting it so that it fits. Now, unfortunately, I noticed that, because I've had this for years, but I don't have any of the bolts or anything for it, so it's not the end of the world. It just would be nice if we get our hands on like an SC400. I'd prefer the SC400 instead of the SC300, because then we can use parts for the 1UZ going into the Toyota Supra. So the solution now is another week of not having this running, and I feel really, really, really discouraged. But you know, the engine's gonna have to come out anyways. I have something right in my eye. The engine's gonna have to, oh geez, it's still there. Sometimes it's nice to wear safety squints near rusty objects, but I know that I promised it, and I'll definitely try throughout the week, trying to get out here and getting this thing running. Unfortunately, it's getting darker and stuff like that, but the wiring in this is really just a joke, and I can't have this engine holding up getting to work on the actual frame, because that's where all the effort's gonna have to go, is into the frame of the vehicle, not trying to get the damn thing running. What else? I think that's pretty much it. So remember, if you like the content, just hit the subscribe button. If you have anything that you think that I'm doing wrong here, let me know. This is my first time ever working on an American muscle vehicle like this. I'm used to working on the Mark III Supras. I can definitely work on other cars, but speciality is definitely the Mark III Supras. The problem is, if you work on the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, it gets very boring. That's why I chose the 1UZ going into the Supra. That's why when I had this opportunity, I was like, oh. And getting an oddball engine like a Buick 350, or eventually the 455, which we'll keep this engine. It's going to go into something else down the road, but it's going to stay in this for a long time, because, well, there's a lot of things I wasn't expecting. Honestly, I probably should have, because I was told a long time ago, if it's not for bad luck, I would have no luck. So remember, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, share the content around, let me know what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, because, you know, I prefer not doing things wrong. So if you tell me what I'm doing wrong, I can actually correct it, and we're still really early on in the process that we can change course if need be. We're going to stick with this frame. I've put it in Autodesk Inventor, and I don't see why I would have a problem, unless we're pumping something like 2,000 horsepower, which isn't going to happen. So that's it, guys. I can't wait to see you next time. Have a good night.